All right, welcome back to the Outlap podcast. Trav, how we doing?
We're doing great. We're doing great. It's just me and you tonight. Shout out to our guy Mike, just having his first baby girl. Apparently he's busy or something tonight. Couldn't make some time. Prioritizing like spending time with his newborn.
Yep,
It's
I'm now an
whatever.
uncle. Morgan is the new part of the fam, and so happy to have her. Unfortunate to not have Mike, but I think it's a very understandable absence.
Yeah, for sure. Love to hear it. Love to hear Mike, Mom, and Morgan are all doing happy and healthy. And yeah, cheers to them, and cheers to another good weekend. Um, Nick, what are your overall thoughts on the race this past weekend?
Yeah, I think if there's any casinos in the Miami area, Lando should go hit him up because I think his luck's pretty good there. Um, I think the second piece is like just just a classic shaking your head Max Verstappen doing Max Verstappen things, and you know what they deemed as to be completely above board with the rules, but it's just really frustrating. And then on that same note, like I'm tired of seeing Lando get bullied on track. It's really frustrating.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't think we should get right into it. We should probably talk a little bit about some of the stuff that happened in the race, but I think we're going to have some differing takes there. But I know that we can agree on getting frustrated seeing Lando getting bullied. I think a lot of it too is like, listen, man, like if they say that that shirt is like you're a loser for wearing that shirt, like you should probably stop wearing that shirt. And if not, you're going to get bullied. And it seems like Lando is continually putting himself in positions to get bullied when he has a much faster car. But I don't want to get right into it. But yeah, man, it was a fun race. I think just kind of like high level thoughts overall. This was like the least American Miami Grand Prix so far, which at like highest compliments. It wasn't like some total shit show where Will I Am is doing like the driver read off. There weren't a bunch of like idiotic, clueless people on the grid, save for Lily. Is that her name? Lisa. Lisa on the Martin Brundle grid walk, who like had no clue who he was. It seems like a lot of like an actual race. And to that note, like now America has now hosted more Grand Prix than London and Italy, or than England and Italy. So F1 is truly becoming an American sport, and it's good to see it adopting a little bit of F1 culture rather than making it like some bastardized, gross American caricature of F1.
Yeah, I think that's a fair call out. But one thing they did do that was really cool on that note was the Lego F1 cars.
Mm,
I was watching that live
so
and I was
sick.
like, this is the best drivers parade ever. It's like normally I don't even watch it, but it's like I actually just happened to watch it live. I was like, oh, this is actually super cool. But then this is why we can't have nice things. And they found a way to put cars that go 20 kilometers an hour, which is like maybe 11 miles an hour or something like that, into walls, just being bastards.
Oh,
So
it's great. Them and Mr. Beast putting very expensive cars into walls this past weekend. But it was funny seeing like which driver got to drive. I think Lando's going to have to give that up to Oscar for next year when if they do that again. But that was really cool to see.
yeah. Um, No, and like I thought it was overall pretty good racing for Miami.
Yeah,
Especially
man.
the sprint race. Sprint race was solid. The first stint of the actual race was really good. Second half was a little bit of a snooze fest. Other than the Ferrari team orders debacle and stuff like that. I saw a meme where it was Williams didn't really get much screen time, but you guys have been high on them for a while, and they showed out this weekend as well.
Sure
Um,
did, man.
could have been even better.
Yeah, sure did. Um, and to the point of the track and like the race and stuff. My other favorite F1 podcast besides the Outlap, obviously.
Obviously.
Shout out to Shift F1. The guys over there are awesome. They do a really good job of talking about just kind of thinking through some things and like why the track works, why some historic tracks like Spa and Suzuka aren't really working. And even though the Miami track is not necessarily like the most interesting, like I would say dynamic track, like it's designed for the modern F1 car. and the modern F1 car is designed to do DRS overtakes at the end of straights. And you saw that pop up at this track this weekend, right? It was predictable in some cases, but it did provide some close racing. So manufactured or not, it was a pretty solid race overall. Especially, I mean, the first, let's call it 20 minutes of the race was a banger. It was
Mm-hmm.
great.
Yeah. Um, Wholeheartedly agree. Yeah, the beginning that first stint. So let's, I guess let's take a half step back and talk about
Agreed.
the luck that Lando got in the sprint race. Um, so was running. What was it?
Before we get to that, we got to shout out Kimi Antonelli for setting
Yeah,
the track record. One of those onboards, I wouldn't say quite like the Max at Suzuka lap, but like one of those onboards where like he got nothing wrong. He got
yeah,
absolutely nothing wrong.
just
Perfect
clean and
lap. His
tidy.
first sector was so calm and so present. Like what a beautiful lap to get pole there. Obviously, like didn't get the greatest start, and then he kind of learned a lesson. Like I think he learned a really valuable lesson in that first lap or two. Like just because you have the first position, like doesn't mean you're owed the first corner. And he took that first corner haphazardly and went up against some guys who have been there and done that and lost places. And
Hmm.
I think that's going to be a valuable lesson for him to learn. Obviously, like would have loved to see him win it, but I think that he's going to take that and learn from it. But just shout out to him for pulling that off. It was really cool to see him like fist pumping in the car after he
And
got the lap too.
youngest pole sitter in any qualifying format. So was able to
Sick.
beat what I think was a Sebastian Vettel record. This one wasn't a Max Verstappen record, but super cool to see. And that was another like tip my cap to you. You called him earlier. You're like, I really like Kimmy. And funny enough, I like Lawson, so I'll lick my wounds.
I liked Lawson too, man. It's
It just
I
not
was
panning
I was
out.
pulling for him as well. He looked great last year, not so much this year.
But I agree with you. Definitely a lesson learned, and like sometimes you got to just cut your losses, drop down, and if he would have just went into file there, he loses one, not three places there. Um, Good drive by Oscar down into the first turn and just well executed. Kind of pulled a little bit of a Max move, but I think there's just maybe something about the hate for Max that I like. I see him do something, I just get so angry.
Yeah, he
But
did.
he
Like
did shove
it's
him wide, but under the letter of the law, the way it's written right now, that was legal, right? And that's
totally,
yeah.
and it's another like I heard an interview after the race, and he's like, I'm being asked to take more chances and go for those moments, and he's doing a really like he's continuing to impress with how calmly he does that. Like just to juxtapose him against Max, I feel like Max will dart into the corner with no regard or no care for actually making the corner. He just wants to have the place. And I think Oscar is doing it with class. And it's awesome to see. He's turning out to be a great driver.
Well, I mean, I don't think anyone doubted that he was a good driver, but there was a little bit of a gap to Lando the last few years, and it's
Yep.
just clear that he's made that step. And whether it's that Lando's not made that or like not made that step or whatever it is, but like I think it's safe to say when your teammate wins three in a row that they're kind of the lead driver right now. Like there's no questions asked, and thank God we don't have thousands of viewers because first race I was like, man, it's gonna be hard for Oscar to come back, and then we just like, yeah, that's irrelevant bullshit. Now it's just hilarious to think back.
uh,
It's like, why did I even? Yeah, what are we talking about? 15 points after round one, like that's nothing.
oh, dude, if we got everything right, this wouldn't be any fun. We gotta talk about something, right?
True, true. Um,
So
but
Lando,
yeah, I mean, I actually thought that he had really good pace this weekend, though. He was catching Oscar there, and it started on the wets. For anybody who didn't watch the sprint, started on the wets. They ended up transitioning to the dry tires. Ended up being a wreck right after Oscar pitted from P1. Lando was in P2. Lando got a pit under the safety car. It was right at the end of the race. So the finish of the race was really Lando beating Oscar to the pit exit line, and then it was a procession for the end. Fernando Alonso got spun out by Liam Lawson, and just again, what are we doing? Spinning dudes out for 15th. You need to just back out there. Little bit on little bit on Fernando for not leaving really any space, but at the same time, like Lawson needs to be like, oh, what would probably not be great for my career is to spin a car out, get another penalty, wreck my car a little bit. Like that'll be good for the resume.
I genuinely I think every single race this year he's had an incident.
Yeah,
Every
damn
single
near.
race weekend he's had an incident. It's not quite like Sargent where he's out of control and but like over aggressive, not reading the corner correctly. It's looking pretty bad for him right now, for sure. I think if anybody is to lose their seat this year, I think it's probably we'll get to Jack Doohan later, but
I
I
was
think if
about to
anybody
say,
else is going to lose their seat, I think it's going to be Liam Lawson. Unfortunately, because I think he's got some talent.
well, I think without a doubt, but at the end of the day, too, when you're getting beat by a rookie, more of a rookie than you in Isaac Hadjar, um, they're going to give somebody like Ime Iwasa or another one of their young talents. They're like, all right, he's probably not going to do worse than what Liam's doing right now. It's kind of the boat that he's been put in, and it's like the same place that Sergio got to in that Red Bull family. And like, who knows? Unfortunate to see. I hope he's able to bounce back.
Hope so
Um,
too.
but what I was going, alluding to was Lando just being lucky as hell and winning another race, and this one just being a sprint race, but similar to the way that he won his first race last year in Miami, was able to grab a sprint win on a lucky safety car timing.
Yep, and I was thinking about that too. Like totally lucky, right? Like Oscar had already driven by. Lando was behind him, and if Lando wasn't behind him, he doesn't get into the pits and he doesn't get out front. So very lucky, but good for Lando. He needed the points
And
and
he clearly needed
executed a
it
good
for his
drive too.
confidence too, because I think that carried
Yeah.
over into qualifying. First time in a few rounds that he's beat Oscar in qualifying, was able to put it on P2 behind Max. And then let's get into the turn one incident of the race. Turn two,
Well, I
really.
also got to shout out Max for the pole lap again. Like absolutely brilliant. Just another like that guy continues to be no question the best one lap pace driver in F1 without a question.
Yeah. Yep. 100%.
All right, let's do it. So turn one, Miami is. I don't know if it's unique, but I always find it interesting when pole is on the outside of turn one. So Max is obviously on pole. Oscar, he started fourth, right? Uh,
I believe so, because Antonelli split the McLarens.
I mean, just a mega start from Oscar to get up there. But Lando is on the inside. He goes in. He kind of goes around Max. Max covers the inside. Lando goes to the outside. That turn one is a left-hander and then a right-hander, and then goes into a left-hander. So a
It's
little
kind
bit of
of
a
it's kind of like a hard right into S's exiting, essentially, right? So it's like a
yeah.
little switchback back and left.
Yep.
Um,
Lando goes into the corner, is ahead heading into the corner, under braking. Max levels himself, gets in front, and Lando. They make that first turn. They're wheel to wheel. Max just goes
well,
right
so and
over.
and and what ended up happening was Max overcooked it and Lando crossed him over. It was actually a nice little move for the first half because
Very nice.
Max overcooked it on the inside. Lando crossed him over, so he's then on the outside for the left-hander coming back left, and instead of even coming close to attempt to turn for that corner, Max just drives straight and shoves Lando off the track.
Yeah. So I saw it a little differently. I saw that Max did not leave him space, but he did not cut the corner. He was within track limits, very clearly within track limits. I think he had both wheel or all four tires left of the white line into that corner. Um, I listen. Was it an aggressive move? Like yes, absolutely. But from where I'm sitting, like, and I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Like, from my perspective, like, completely silly of Lando to even try it. Um, they have the faster car, man, and like this is the thing that's frustrating with me about Lando is like he knows, or he should know, and like Oscar knows. Oscar knows this. If they're not going to win the race into turn one, Max knows that he has to have track position to even have a chance of winning races, and the McLaren doesn't. So like Lando going into that corner expecting Max to break and expecting him to give him space is absurd. And I understand the side of it that Max maybe made too an aggressive move. But I think Lando like has no business putting himself in that position.
I mean, I definitely understand that side of things where it's like Lando probably should have backed out there. Same kind of thing as Kimmy. The difference was is like Lando kind of did they were equal going into that. He made a nice move after Max overcooked his shit. And it's just like I don't know, every other racer on the grid it damn near feels like you could have expected to turn early and leave space and actually have some side by side racing. And Max Verstappen just does not allow that to happen ever. And like there's just and I understand it's just like that's the dog in him, and maybe I don't have that dog in me when I'm like sim racing, but like there's nothing more enjoyable than like wheel to wheel action like that, making a dude actually stick it around the outside and you're side by side through like 5 corners. My heart has never pumped harder than when I've done that in iRacing, and like that is like some of the most enjoyable pieces of racing. And the thing is like if I put myself in like the shoes of Lando there, and I'm virtually racing, and someone does that to me, I'm probably spinning them later in the race, without a
Yeah,
doubt.
I think that's
It's like
fair. I agree. I agree. I
it's
think
just
that's fair.
dirty shit that is fair, and that's where it's like you can't be too mad at Max because that is exactly by the letter of the law. That's what he's gotten really, really good at.
Yep.
One, obviously, there's going to be some changes made, but it's just like I want to see racing. I don't want to see dudes just like, oh, you're coming near me, let me fucking shove you wide. Oh, you're coming near me, let me fucking shove you wide. It's like it pisses me off because you watch a guy like the battle between Lewis and Carlos. Other than that final turn where Carlos kind of sent it too hard. Lewis didn't see him, and they had a little bit of contact like on the last lap. The rest of that battle was just like so clean, such good driving from both drivers, and that's like what I want Max to be able to do is not use these like dirty, right on the letter of the law, like edge move tactics to shove people off and keep them wide. But it's like I also just kind of want Lando to just either, to your point, play it smarter, wait for that, but like get in file and like don't try and cross him over. Make him make that move and just end up crossing him over later where he doesn't have an opportunity to shove you wide. Um,
Yeah. So
or
here's the
stick your
thing.
chest out and send it because he doesn't do that either. He
He
half
doesn't. He
sends it.
doesn't.
And
But
that's the
there's just
issue.
no reason to. And like, okay, so the gap to the next team car from Oscar was 37 seconds. So Lando was obviously close behind him, but like from Oscar to the third place finisher, there was a 37-second gap, which is the highest since the introduction of the RB19 when they first came out in 2022. And if you think back to Max over the past couple of years in the early stages of the championship, last year in particular, he did not go for those moves into corners. He let people who needed track position, like Max needs it now. He let people go into those corners hard. He gave up those places into racing, and he passed them later in the race. And McLaren has that type of car, and I think it's a little harsh to call Max's move dirty because like Brundle was talking about it on the broadcast. Like they have different rules into a chicane than they do into a turn. Like thinking about like Jeddah turn one, like that's very different than Miami turn one because there's a little bit of an S at the end of it, and like Max like by the letter of the law, Max had the corner. And I just don't think Lando, like, I don't understand why he feels like he needs to go and prove himself into turn one against Max, who has absolutely nothing to lose and knows that he needs track position where Lando could have ripped through everybody and fought with Oscar for the win if he stays out there and just lets Max pass and lets Max do his thing and then passes him a few laps later, like we saw Oscar do in the race. So, um,
But then later in the race, it took Lando 6 fucking laps to get it done. I think that's what he's now getting concerned about. And what I'm realizing is just like he does not. He's got really good tire management in this car. He's got like pretty good race management, but he does not have that like overtaking prowess the way that Oscar has seemed to develop. And what we saw at Orlando last year too, like we did see a lot of strong overtakes. Like Max tried, but by the end of the year, Lando kind of figured out how to do exactly what you're talking about. So, like, I it's frustrating to watch.
it is.
I kind of just want Lando one time to just pit his ass into the wall and be like, and really, but the issue comes down to the rules in my mind. Like, I hate this idea of it's your corner or my corner. I think if it's anywhere near side by side into the corner, both should leave enough space, at least a car's width on either side. I don't ask for anything more than a car's width. That's all I want. That's what I feel like is the issue with the rules is it's so cut and dry always where it's like your corner or my corner. I either have the right to shove you off or you have the right to shove me off. And I fucking hate that. And that's
You just
what
can't penalize it though. Like you can't like if that is the rules and like you have to leave space on either side, like there's going to be a lot more racing incidents and you can't penalize like drivers are just going to have their race ruined and like nobody is going to get in trouble for it. And like it just doesn't like I in an ideal world like yes, I would love to see more wheel to wheel racing, but we get that later in the race with a lot of stuff and like F1 doesn't like it's not all about turn one. It's just not like there's a lot to be made about turn one because
to
of
be fair,
standing
but
starts.
Max doesn't do it just into turn one. He did it into the final corner multiple times. Did it into turn one again.
Oh
Lando
yeah, he
doing
did
the
it to
same
Oscar a
shit.
few times too when
Exactly.
Oscar was
So it's
passing.
it's
Yeah,
it's not just turn one either. That's just the way that he defends by the letter of the law. And I just think there's an issue with that. I hate that. I would rather there be like he gets penalized for completely closing the door there, even though he knows there's a guy alongside, and unless I completely clear him, I need to leave a car's width. That's the way you drive in LMP racing and all that shit. Like, and it just feels like a dirty move. And the way that I drive, like I just would
that's
not
fair.
do that. Right? It's like so. Imagine again, hard right into a left into a right. Okay, 2 cars. I'm Max Verstappen. Okay, I just overcooked it and Lando crosses me over and is damn near alongside, but because he's not perfectly alongside, I just know that I don't have to turn for that left-hander. I'm just able to drive straight and just barely make it on the outside of the turn, but that's legal because I stay on track. It's just like that just is really frustrating and again, it's a little bit of hats off to Max because he clearly exploits it more than anyone else. But like that's just not the racing that I like to see, and it's really frustrating. It's obviously a little bit harder for me because my guys are more involved in it, and like there's more
Yeah,
emotion. But like I said, taking the like team emotion out of it. If someone drives like that when I'm in iRacing, what I like look at as the top tier sim, and you can actually expect people to have driving standards, like we're having some words, whether it be over the radio or in a message or whatever. You can't wreck people in iRacing because you'll get banned. So I don't actually pit people in that game. But it's still, it's
you
like,
sending him an old school like Xbox
well,
slander filled.
in the in the lobby you can chat specific cars. So it's
Yeah,
like I'll go back, but the thing is, before I do anything, I'll go watch the replay because you can watch the replays live. So like, let's say I got spun out and something happened. Like sometimes I'll like hop on the radio and be like, "What the hell?" And then I go watch the replay. I'm like, hey, that that's actually on me, or like I see something happen to you that made you wreck, right?
yeah.
Um,
You know, I think Nick, I think we are always going to differ on this because like I really like I really like the I feel like it brings out personalities more because of the way that the rules are. Like we know who Max is, and like we're learning who Lando is, and like we're also learning who Oscar is. Like to move on from the Lando Max incident, like the best battle of the race by a long shot was Max and Oscar for like 6 or 7 laps. Um, and Max was doing the same type of shit, right? Like he was he was driving inefficiently to command the corner, and it took Oscar a while to figure it out, but he figured it out. He figured out that he was not going to get it done. I forget what turn that was that he kept trying to go around the outside where Max was completely blocking off the
I can't
outside.
remember what turn, but it's into the like really slow section. It's the
Yeah, I think it's like
left-hander,
turn seven maybe,
something like that.
something like that. But Max kept covering the inside, kept going a little bit deep, but like basically apexing early and getting a good exit, going really slow out of that corner. And Oscar didn't figure it out. And after like 4 or 5 laps, Oscar realized that Max was using up all his battery in that straight and on the exit of that straight, and got him a couple corners later in a place where like maybe that isn't the best overtaking opportunity ever. And he got it done really early in the corner. And I just love like I think the racecraft behind it of like not being able to figure something out and then figuring it out is great. And just back to Lando for a second, like he struggles with that part in his
But
racing.
only
His racing,
with
his
Max.
overtaking IQ.
If you
Yeah,
think about it, though, like
because
look
he's
at
in
the
his dome, dude.
yeah,
He
but
is out. Max is alphaing Lando
but there's
really
something to be
hard.
said that no one else drives as defensively aggressively as Max, and he's gotten the most penalties for it this year. He's also been the best at it, right? But it's just like, um,
I don't know if that's true. I think that if you saw Lewis and Fernando Alonso have faster cars, like dude, Lewis was a bitch to overtake because he would run people off the track. He would do the same type of shit that Max did. I just don't think anybody in a fast car drives like that right now.
yeah, it's very frustrating to me because it just feels like he is willing to play chicken more than anyone else and win that game, but also just barely skirt the rules. Because that's the other alternative. If Lando stands his ground, is either he, just Max, or both of them wreck. And that is the point where it's getting where it's like you can't like it has to be such a slam dunk move versus Max. You can't have any wheel to wheel racing at all. It has to be an absolute fly by him on the DRS, and that's the only way to get past him. I understand where you're coming from. You're like, that's impressive to me, but also I think like how much more exciting would it be if we got to see like a better battle there, because Max wasn't able to do this bullshit. Like I said, I just think like if you're going side to side in the corner, leave the space.
I feel you. Yeah, I think I definitely think we're always going to differ in that regard. But like, just another shout out to Max's awareness and Lando's lack of awareness for overtaking. Like, Max is hyper. He is absolutely the best defender in F1 right now, and he is always hyper aware of how to hold the corner in the best possible way, and how his car works going into those corners. And it's always like, I know that's not your favorite thing in the world to watch, but like I really like watching Max for that reason and respect the hell out of the way he drives, even if it is like I think I would take issue the most for what you're saying in terms of like he's skirting the rules or like it's dirty. Like, I don't think it's dirty. I think it's aggressive and I think it's hard nosed racing. Like, if you want dirty, buddy, I got a series for you. You need to go watch NASCAR. You need to go see some of the shit that they pull. Like earlier in the year, Austin Hill's radio yelling "wreck him, wreck him, wreck him," rolling into the last turn at Daytona. But it is really aggressive. I don't think it's dirty. I don't think it's. I don't think he's breaking any rules. I think the stewards have actually done a really good job this year with being consistent. But yeah, man. I mean, that was a blast to watch, and that the battle between Max and Oscar was wonderful as well.
And the
Just
second
just
battle between Lando and Max ended up being good too.
Yeah, we can talk about that a little bit more too. Why do you think Lando had so much trouble overtaking Max
Because he
there?
won't fucking send it. That's why. It takes a send to get past Max Verstappen, and homie won't nut the fuck up and send it. That's what needs to happen. Like, it's so frustrating. Like, he's my boy and like has been my number one, but like when your teammate wins 3 in a row and you want to send it into turn one, like, and he had great pace all day, but again, if he doesn't struggles that much getting around Max, that's a lot closer race the entire day between him and Oscar, and he was tracking him down at the end. He had great pace, but like his like he needs. I'd like to see the dude fucking overcook it and send it into a wall because that's the shit we don't see. Like it's like it feels like a pendulum that swings back and forth. And like when you think back to Sochi, that first time that he like ever had a chance to win a race, decided to send it way too hard. All right. Now it feels like we've gone so far on this other side of things where it's like, yes, it almost feels to me like, to your point, like he needs to know that he needs to, like, he's going to pass him later. It seems like that's become a double-edged sword for him because he's unwilling to fully send it and get the pass done. But then he's also like, I know I'm going to get it done later. So what ends up happening is it takes him 7 tries to do so, and then he finally gets it
Yeah.
done.
Yeah, it's his awareness of he doesn't seem to know the edge of his car very well. Like Oscar clearly knows the edge of his car. And like this is one of those things that like you can't really describe, but you can see it and feel it when you're watching people race. Like we talked about Oscar's move around the outside at Jeddah. Like that's the edge of his car. And like Oscar, like he was on the rails out front all day, like looked really, really good. But Lando just doesn't seem to have that extra 5% that it takes to really understand what the edge of his car is.
And it just seems like that's a this year thing too, because like I said, after at the end of the year last year, like he was looking good, and I
You
was
remember that
very
move
hopeful.
at Silverstone that he made through Maggots and Beckett's? Like, dude, unbelievable stuff. Like
Yes,
he had it last year, and like I wonder what's going on. I hope it changes. I hope he figures it out. I mean, he's only 20 points behind in the championship, so we got a lot of racing left, but
and
I
this
really
is
do
the
hope he
first
figures it out.
weekend where there's been some genuine progress. There was some decision making that like was frustrating, but like on the whole, the dude had a great weekend. He out qualified Oscar, ended up getting
Yep.
fucked by Max in turn one, legal or not, whatever, doesn't matter if you think it's dirty. It happened and it's live. And like he goes down to P6, but climbed his way back up. Like objectively had a great weekend because I think there's other weekends if that happens and he gets shoveled that far back, he stays there and isn't finishing on the podium. He is finishing like fifth, sixth, seventh. Um,
Yeah.
so like at least there's some progress there. But I think my opinion is very clear that they just needs to send it a little bit.
I think so. What else do you want to talk about for the race?
We were talking a little bit about it earlier, but shout out to Williams. Fantastic
Yeah,
race.
man.
Didn't get much airtime, but another double points finish. What Alex Albon ended up P4, P5, um,
5.
in in front of the Ferraris. I think Sainz ended up behind the Ferraris, but probably should have been in front of them. Um, and I
That's what
guess
I want to talk about. Is after Williams, I want to talk about Ferrari.
and so to be completely honest with you, I didn't get a lot of chance. I kind of was able to decode what happened, but I was watching with Mike and our niece Morgan. I didn't say, I mean, not my niece, Morgan. Um, her first F1 race. But we had the volume off for like the second half after the pit stops, what ended up being the most boring part of the race. So I'd love to get
Yeah,
enlightened on what the team orders was. But I'll say, like, outside looking at it, looked like they waited too long to let Hamilton by Charles. And then by the time they let Hamilton by Charles, he didn't really have that much pace. And then they waited too long to let Charles by Hamilton. That's just kind of was like out, like no actual radio messages seen. That's what it felt like.
yeah. So Lewis had the tire life, and he was behind Charles, and he was asking to like, hey, like we need to swap positions. I'm faster. Like let's get going. And the Ferrari kept saying, the classic, like, I'll get back to you, or checking, how they do,
Checking.
and checking. And he kept asking, he kept asking. He asked like 3 or 4 times. All the while, Charles Leclerc is not being consulted at all about this. Like, they're not talking to him, like, hey, like, we're considering letting Lewis through, anything like that. It's just between Lewis and his race engineer. And then they say some of the most asinine shit that I have ever heard on team radio. They said they want to stay within DRS of Charles, where Lewis has better tire life and Charles is slowing Lewis down. I don't understand that in the least bit. I don't like a fucking course I'm gonna stay within DRS of this guy. Like, let me past him. Like, why are you telling me to stay within DRS? They
That
finally
feels like a
let Lewis.
diversion tactic for Lewis. It was just
Oh,
look over
bro,
here for a second.
it was so funny. And then So Lewis finally gets through Charles, but like by that time the tire delta's gone.
Yeah.
And so like they go through as soon as Charles asked, he lets Lewis through the first time, which was great. Um, he finally, the tire delta's there. They pit, and then Charles has the tire life behind Lewis. They let him through. One of the funniest things I've heard in a while was the race engineer told Lewis, he was like, "Hey, Sainz 1.4 behind," and Lewis goes, "What? Do you want me to let him through as well?" And just like amazing, amazing comedic timing from Lewis. It's a disgrace. What ended up happening, like in summation, what ended up happening is Ferrari, they basically took the tire advantage out of both of their drivers. They had the faster driver behind for both parts of the race,
That's
and
what,
they
yeah, that's what
ended
I
up
said. That's what it felt like.
yeah, and they ended up just doing absolutely nothing. So like Lewis maybe had a chance to go chase down a Mercedes, but they ended up like 5 laps, dude, of him being behind Charles, like trying to get through. He got through, didn't do anything, and then when they switched back, like Charles' tires were gone. So just a complete disgrace from Ferrari there. Like I think probably what they were thinking is Charles ahead in the championship, but like, bro, like if it doesn't work, we'll switch back. This is a tale as old as time. That's how it works in F1 with team
And
orders.
because they sat there and fumbled the ball, it shat on both of them.
Ah, it was tough to watch, man. That was super frustrating. Ferrari, I mean, Ferrari stunk at that track, anyways. But yeah, it was not great. A couple other things I want to call out for the race. Oscar now has more wins than Lando in 50 something less Grand Prix. I will say that like Lando like did not
Different
have a
car
competitive
when
car.
When
Yeah,
Lando
different car
came
for
in.
sure, for
Still,
sure.
they've
But
had
no,
the same car for the
notable.
last 3 years,
We're
and
tracking.
yeah,
We're tracking that for sure. We're monitoring that. The other thing I thought was really interesting was Max did not score points in the sprint race. Do you know when the last time that he
oh,
did
I
not score
think it
points
was
was?
something ridiculous. I think it was it Baku of 21?
Bro, Spa 2016 is the last time Max did not score points in any format.
No,
Yes, this is
no,
on this is
because
on Reddit, so it has to be
but
true.
okay, but think about it. He got crashed out in Baku in that championship year in 2020 with Lewis, and he did not get any points that race because he got a tire blowout right after Lance Stroll, and it went flying into the wall. And
This is this is
there's
again.
the image of him kicking it. So we can continue. It's been a minute though. Like
This is on
that's the only
Reddit.
one,
It can't
that's the
be
only
wrong.
one
It's
I
like
can.
Wikipedia. It's a perfect source.
My TISM encyclopedia in here is telling me that it should be Baku of 2020.
Okay, yeah, we'll fact check that and edit it in to say that you're right if we missed
No,
that one.
no, we would let it ride.
Yeah, no, that was a joke. We're not editing shit. So the other thing, obviously, big kind of on the news here, news and notes. The other big thing is that Jack Doohan is rumored to be out. I'm not sure if it's 100%. The race reported it that he was
There's
out.
been a lot of
Motorsport has said,
reputable sources that have all but
yeah,
confirmed it.
fucking F1 journalism, man. It's so gossipy and whatever. The
But
race,
but
which is a very
anytime,
reputable,
yeah, anytime you see the big ones post it, you're like, oh, that's legit. Because it was the same
yeah,
thing when Lawson and Sonoda were getting moved. Like those
yes,
outlets knew it, had a full official video about it, and whenever they release it, it's normally and they don't label it a rumor video. It's pretty
yeah. It was a
official.
video. Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry, I'm here. I'm getting a high noon from my fridge. I need another drink to talk about the rest of this race.
party on,
Um,
Darth.
but yeah, Doohan's out. Cole Pinto's in. Doohan actually had a
Also,
pretty good weekend this weekend. It's bummed to see the timing. He looked okay this weekend. But yeah, I think that was kind of inevitable.
and so what we talked about it earlier as well. So Oliver Oaks, team principal, resigned. Was not fired, resigned. Recently, within about last year and a half, a guy who was banned for Formula One for cheating and doing all kinds of heinous shit, Flavio Briatore, was brought back into the fold and is kind of like an executive managing partner or something with Alpine, right? He was the one that brought in Colapinto. He never really liked doing. And I also think that Oliver Oaks signed up to be the team principal far before he ever got involved. So I think it's a combination of this has all come back to Flavio Briatore. He was heavily featured in Drive to Survive, so I don't know why I'm saying like, yeah, the dude's heinous. If you ever want to learn anything about that dude's history, it's crazy. Look it up. Like
Seems bad.
has been almost been to jail multiple
That was a
times.
crash gate guy, right?
Yes, he was
Yeah.
Crashgate. He got banned for telling Fernando Alonso's teammate to crash at the perfect time to get him a safety car pit and end up winning this race. Um,
Fernando Alonso's teammate, Nelson Piquet, who is the daughter of, or who is the dad of Max Verstappen's new baby mama.
Max
Uh,
Verstappen's kid's grandpa.
yes, correct.
There we go. I got you.
Yeah. Thanks for circling the horses there. The nooner's already kicking in.
I got you.
But yeah, I'm excited to see Cole Pinto. I'm not sure that it's going to matter in that car. I think Gasly will be a pretty good benchmark because he's had a pretty good year in the car, but definitely a curious move. Like I don't, Doohan didn't seem to be wonderful, but
But
he
there was
was,
rumors before the season, before he'd ever even driven a
yeah,
Formula One car, that his seat
yeah,
was in danger, and I think it all comes back to Flavio, and I think that's
I
why
think
Oliver
so.
Oaks left because he signed up to be a team principal way before this guy was ever in the fold, and they're giving him more power than he wants, and he's like, all right, guys, don't like the way you treated Jack, don't like the way this is going, I'm out of here.
Yeah, I think so. In other driver swap news, it seems that Checo is all but confirmed to Cadillac for next year.
Yeah, that's the
Um,
rumors I've been hearing as well. Nothing on the
yeah,
second seat yet.
well, so there are a couple of different articles, and again, like F1 journalism is hard to read. Um, somebody like put out a story. It's like Checo confirmed to Cadillac, and then somebody else was like, "No, my anonymous sources are saying that he is not confirmed to Cadillac." But where there's smoke, there's fire. The article I was reading that is saying that he is confirmed to Cadillac. Um, was saying that Andretti's choice for the second seat is Colton Herta in IndyCar. Colton Herta
I
does
think
not
that
have a super license.
I think that's a
Um,
recipe for disaster. Also, probably is going to happen to your point because the super license stuff.
yeah, I think it will happen. I think they're going to make an exception for him. Colton has had a really good. I watch IndyCar as you know. He has had a really good year in IndyCar. He had a really tough race this past weekend because of like slow pit stops.
He was
He
running
stalled
good
his
though.
car.
He was
He was
running
running
good.
good. He was looking really good. And he had a stall at a pit stop that cost him like 4 or 5 positions and never really caught up. But it seems like it is his seat to lose at the moment. Um, I listen. I love Colton Herta. I really like his driving style, and he's matured a lot in the past few years. I think he's really solid. I don't think he's the best driver in IndyCar, but I do think he is the most qualified American driver to be in an F1 seat, and I think that Cadillac would really, really love a Mexican and American team in the F1 seat for next year. So I
Don't
think if I had to guess, Colton will be in the second seat next year.
I'd love to see that. I just don't know how well that's going to work out for Colton. You know what I mean?
I don't think so either. I don't think it'll go
That's
great.
like I've driven those cars and the like in a like legit sims and like they are though they're both open wheel race cars, they are vastly different.
They're nothing
Um
alike.
yeah, like I just it's a much easier pill to swallow, and why you've seen it a lot more going from an F1 car to an Indy car. I think it's a lot harder to try and make that adjustment the other way. Um,
Yeah, they're nothing alike. They're active suspension, um, no power steering, a lot harder pedals. It is a very stiff, very I have to focus on driving this car and nothing else. Whereas F1, it's like algebra and calculus. Like they're two very different things. Just because you're good at one doesn't mean you're good at the other. That being said, like I really am pulling for Colton. I really like him. I really hope he gets in. I'll be an immediate Cadillac fan if he gets into that seat. But it does seem like it's his seat to lose. I don't think they'll go with any other IndyCar drivers just because I don't think Joseph Newgarden is the other American that comes to mind. He's an IndyCar guy for life. I don't think he's going anywhere.
He's too
The
good at
only other guy
ovals.
that
He's too good at ovals. He's got
yeah,
to.
he's too good at ovals. The only other guy that I would think that would be qualified to get in the seat is Alex Palou. But I don't think that they're going to put a Frenchman in the seat just to get a good IndyCar driver in there. So
I'm not even going to joke around about bringing Logan Sargent back.
oh fuck, dude,
There
no, that
is
can't
a
happen.
guy named Jack Crawford who's been pretty good in F2. So that's a
Mm-hmm.
possibility as well. That is would probably like I said. I think a guy like that going from a feeder series from F2 to F1 is going to be a much better setup because an F2 car is a lot closer to an F1 car than an Indy car. So I just think that like that type of driver, like a Jack Crawford, if they wanted an American, would be a better route to have that team be more successful. I think it's a little bit heinous to think that the team is going to be any good anytime soon, though.
How Nick? How? Because F2 cars and F1 cars aren't very similar either, right? Like
They
they're
they they are though. They're much more similar in the terms of the way that they drive
okay.
on the
I know
whole
the
than
tech
an
is not the
Indy
same.
car. The tech is not nearly the same, but the way in which you have to drive the car is very similar, especially since the Formula 2 car updated to having under like ground effect aero and similar like design style as well. They're getting the majority of the and so like because of that, those cars drive a little bit differently than the cars from 2020 and 2021.
Okay.
But in my mind, like the driving style, the inputs that you have to do, the way in which you trail brake, the way in which you can initiate the car into the corner, that's all much more similar from F2 to F1 than it would be IndyCar to F1. Because to
Yeah,
your
that's
point,
fair. I think the only thing that IndyCar would have on the F2 drivers is just the speed.
exactly. Yes, I would agree with that. But
Yeah, but it'll be super interesting. Something to watch.
no, I agree. And like we're all Americans here. I'd love to have like what we talked about, an American F1 team that we can actually root for because Haas ain't it. Like even though they've been having a good year, like they're not like the American Formula One team. As much as they want to be, they are not because they are there to promote this dude's machine company. Whereas like
Yeah.
Cadillac, a historically American brand that also makes cars,
And
match made in heaven.
also does really really well in other racing series.
WEC specifically too, like
Yeah,
they're
and IMSA.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I think the most disappointing thing about it is the livery that they're putting out. I don't know if you saw the leaks of like the proposed livery, but it's red,
I
white, and
saw that
blue.
they like released their brand.
Yeah, there was like some leaks of the livery. It's red, white, and blue. Like, God forbid we get another fucking red, white, and blue car in F1, dude. There's so much red, white, and blue. We don't need any more. They have so many cool opportunities to do like that Cadillac yellow that they did for WEC a few years ago, or the bronze that they have in their logo. Like, there's so many other cool things, but of course they're going stars and bars. Just not what I was looking for.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah,
Trying
it's
to
ugly.
I'm trying to look at the little preview video. See,
Speaking
with
of ugly
everything that I'm
liveries, why you look it
seeing,
up?
everything I'm seeing is just the teaser. I haven't actually seen it yet.
Yeah, this is great radio. But the other ugly livery, Ferrari maybe had the ugliest F1 livery I've ever seen this past weekend with the HP blue and the white and stuff. Those cars used to be so good looking, and now they're just giant billboards. It's gross.
And I know there's some history to where like Ferrari cars are always red, but I think it would be much more cool if they could like commit to one of these one-off liveries instead of half-assing it and be like, you get the car up to here, and then it's going to be the exact same from here forwards.
Yeah, it'd be a cool a blue like a straight blue would be way better than the
Because
red
their
and blue
race
and
suits
white.
were sick. I thought
Yeah,
their
they were
race
really cool.
suits and the merch for this weekend were actually pretty cool. Like,
Yeah, it was great.
and
It's like when they
the
did the
light
yellow
blue
livery.
stuff.
The
The
light blue is cool.
like the light blue stuff that they did last year was really cool.
Yeah.
The yellow livery like could have been so cool. Could have
and they
been.
just butchered it. It just
Yeah.
needs to be all yellow. They just
It's
needs
just,
to go for it.
it's just too corporate. Like they're just unwilling to like that. Like I said, it goes back to Enzo Ferrari stuff. It's like he was always very adamant that a Ferrari is always red.
Yeah, for sure. I know we're almost at time here, but I got a couple other American updates for racing. Unless you got anything else you want to say about the race weekend.
On that note, real sidebar, shout out to Hagen Deegan for winning the 250 West Championship in Supercross. I'm also a little bit
Yeah,
of a Supercross fan.
he's a stud, man.
He's like a
He's
19 year
been
old,
leaking into my.
but I think it's just the way I am. I'm kind of a fan of him, but he shoved his teammate off track to win, and that's even more of a thing in that sport. And I kind of was like, God damn it, I like you a little bit less now because that's just not the way I am. I don't like pass him on track, clean, don't dump him to do it.
That's a
What do you
little
got?
bit of Brian Deegan coming out in him for
Oh,
sure.
totally. And especially in that sport, like that's what happens in Supercross.
Yeah,
That's what happens. Like people get
it is.
dumped.
He's been leaking into my algorithms a little bit, and he makes overtaking look very very simple against guys that are driving essentially the same bike. He finds lines that most other people can't, and hits like the very top and the very bottom of every jump. It's really really fun to watch.
Yep. He's nasty.
Okay, so a couple other
Four
American
wheeled
racing
racing.
updates.
This now. Yeah.
Yeah, four wheel racing. So IndyCar was at Barber Motorsports Park in Alabama. I have planned trips to go see that race 3 years in a row, and always some bullshit pops up that I can't go. I'm really fucking mad I missed it. It looks like an awesome race, but um, that track is very high deg, and there's been a really big problem in IndyCar this year with I say problem. I don't think it's a problem, but IndyCar sees that saving fuel to go longer because Indy refuels at pit stops. They see it as a really big problem that drivers are saving towards the end of races to avoid having to pit for additional tires and fuel. Um, so this past weekend at Barber, they mandated a 3 pit stop race. They didn't actually mandate a 3 pit stop, but they had to use 2 sets of each of the tires. They have a soft and then a hard tire that they can use.
So I thought that it was just like they mandated the two different compounds, which
Nope, they had to use 2 sets of each compound.
oh, interesting.
Yeah,
Misheard
so
that.
it's a really high deg track, and it turned it into like it's a high deg track, and it also like they try to go long on fuel at those tracks, so it always ends up being super interesting at the end of the race, even if drivers are saving. Like I think one of the beauties of IndyCar and of racing series that refuel period is watching a driver stay out front trying to save fuel. Like Scott Dixon in IndyCar has made a career of that. He's an absolute master at that. And it just turned into a very, very predictable race. Like shout out to Alex Palou. He's absolutely fucking killing it this year. He won by like 10 seconds, but it was never really a doubt. They were,
Shout out
it
to
was just one
Christian
of the,
Lundgaard.
yeah, Christian Lundgaard had a great weekend as well. But they basically like for the last 15 laps of the race, there was nothing to pay attention to other than is Alex Palou going to drive off the track. It was everybody had made their pit stops already. Nobody was trying to save fuel. Everybody was at the end of the race, and it was just really frustrating to see IndyCar doing that. I don't understand it. Like, um, that's not the right way to create like it seems like they're trying to create like a perfect result rather than just like letting the strategy be what it is. And really hated to see that from IndyCar this past weekend. It made a really great track, one of Indy's best road courses, into a very boring finish, even though the rest of the race was really solid.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like I don't know. I bet you the drivers like being able to drive flat out and not but they don't like the option to not have the extra strategy. Because there's nothing
They
worse than
do like
having
that,
to. I don't know, dude. There's nothing
but
worse than having to lift and coast. Like you're having to be strategic in doing stuff. But I'd rather see the guys on the limit than intentionally below the limit.
yeah, but it's just like for me, like it just doesn't it's not in the spirit of racing. Like you need it like some of the best drivers in history are great at both managing tires and saving fuel and driving on the limit and finding that perfect combination of everything. And like the strategy was just so mandated. Like there was no like alternate strategy. Like everybody was doing the exact same strategy.
Well, weren't the
Everybody was
primaries just so bad that they were just pretty much running the softs as much as they humanly could?
yeah, they were bad. They
Which
weren't
I think that then comes down to the tire. Like, if you want to do that, the tires got to get better, and that's why Formula One has had to put so much money, time, and effort into the tires. Is because that's the kind of style of like strategic racing that Formula One has. But there's at least two tires that are good on the weekend. There's normally not just one. There's not just like, okay,
right.
the medium is the only race tire, hards are terrible, softs die too fast. Like that's never normally not the case. Like every once in a while, yes. Um, but that's, I think Pirelli specifically like has to spend a lot of money, time, and effort to really get that dialed in. Um, and if they're going to go that route, I think, and isn't it Firestone that is
Yeah,
the
it's
tire
Firestone.
manufacturer? So it's like I think Firestone's going to have to take a page out of their book and learn from that if that's what's going to like be the rules going forward.
Yeah, I just hope it's not, man. Like that the IndyCar series has never really been about tires. Like it's about tire strategy and like going long on tires if you can, but like they just introduced the alternate tires a couple years ago, and it's always been about like tire wear. Like the tires, like they're not going to expire, but like getting the tire temperatures right and getting the fueling right and like doing overcuts and undercuts based on like a single tire and like keeping the life in your tires that you can, rather than like having to figure out which tire is the best. And they just seem, I think the refueling part is weird. Like they just seem like they're between a rock and a hard place with what they're doing with strategy right now. And I'll tell you what, mandating three stop strategy is not fucking it.
No, I agree. So on another note, similar racing series, Formula E. Did you see they started doing
Oh,
pit
dude,
boost?
dude, no, I went back to watch the Monaco E-Prix last night, and it was delayed, and so just an infomercial was recorded, and I didn't get to watch it. I was really, really bummed because I did want to see it. I'm gonna have to go dig that up somewhere and see if I can find qualifying and the race.
Yeah, it was a really good race, but they've started doing pit boost now, where it's essentially a like fill up at the like during the Formula E race, like 600-volt fill ups. So
Oh, I did see that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So same kind of note, but it's like I like that. That's mandated there, but specifically for those cars, they have to get so savvy at the end that they're hardly racing. Like it's definitely not a great battle to the line because everyone's just trying to barely. Like you can see their battery percentages are point 0.6, zero point
Oh yeah.
0.2. Like they're getting crazy low, and so I thought that was kind of a fun little change.
Yeah, that's
It
neat.
also got
Especially
me a
like,
little excited for next year, though, because the footprint of today's Formula E cars is pretty similar to next year's Formula One cars, and there was some great racing. So I'm just hopeful that maybe we see a little bit better racing in Monaco
huh?
next year.
That's a good call out. I didn't know that. Yeah, I like that they're doing that. It reminds me again. It reminds me of fueling series. Like the longer you stay in the pit, like the more like if you want to get more energy, fine. But like you're gonna lose track position. You're gonna lose time, and I think that's really cool.
Well, it's not really, from my understanding, it's mandated 34 seconds, and I think you can decide to go beyond that, but that's the minimum.
Okay,
So I think
34 seconds. That's a long time.
exactly, but it's mandated for everybody, right? So it's like that's why it's like I'm okay with it, but I think there might be an opportunity to kind of for some technological development on that front, on the charging front. On the battery development front. That's like the fun, exciting side of Formula E that's obviously going to be getting really more and more relevant as every manufacturer is supposedly phasing out internal combustion engines. Um, that's the top, you know, electric racing series in the world. So you hope some of that technology starts to trickle down and we start to get some big progress in that front.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I think that's a good idea. I'd love to see him. Again, I haven't watched it since they did the pit boost, but I watched the first couple races of the year, and I haven't watched another one. But I would love to see them get rid of the mandated time and like make it like a game of chance, basically. Like you can give as much boost as you want, but like you're gonna lose time. Like I think that's really fun in NASCAR and IndyCar when they like try to put in extra fuel or
And it
like
always becomes a safety thing because these
yeah,
things are already charging at 600 volts, and you got McLaren just with the most money in Formula E just shows up and is like, we got a 1500-volt charger. Don't tell anybody. And then they and then they electrocute the shit out of everybody. You know what I mean? That's ultimately the worry. And we've seen it before. Like Jos Verstappen got lit on fire because of that.
yeah, no, yeah, I forgot about that. Another shout out to Formula E with the best livery in all of motorsport with the Porsche, the purple Porsche that they are running. What a beautiful car. That's a great looking car.
I do agree.
Okay, last thing. Um, Nick, it's happening. The WRC is all but confirmed to come to America, and they're coming to my town. They're coming to Chattanooga. The FIA, the Motorsport, released an article back in August of 24, basically saying that there is an event right now in Chattanooga. It's called the American Road Rally or something like that. Um, but it is all but approved. Everything is in place except the approval for the FIA for the WRC World Rally Championship, for those not in the know, to come to America for the first time in 36 years. And it's going to be in Cherokee National Forest, just northwest of Chattanooga. Um, I could not be more excited for this. I was doing some digging. I have some non-racing friends that I'm in a group chat with, and they asked me some questions I didn't know. They asked like, "Hey, like, how much can that possibly draw? Like 80,000 people for a weekend?" I looked it up. Portugal in 2022 or 21 had 800,000 people over the weekend to do this. So I don't expect that number. I think
I was
the
about to
average is
say, I
like,
think
I
that
think the
maybe in
average is like
Portugal there's a
200,000.
little bit more of a racing culture in just Europe in general, right?
Sure, but also like this is going to be. I expect somewhere between the average and 800,000. Like I wouldn't be surprised to see like 500,000. This is going to be the biggest sporting event in the history of Tennessee, which is really cool. People are going to come from across the world to come see this, and I am so excited. I will be there regardless of what I have to do to be there. And I would love for you and Mike to come down and watch that with me next year. It's going to be, I think, in June of next year.
Okay, it's my wife's birthday month. That makes things a little tough, you know.
Birthday month, dude. She gets a day. She didn't get a month.
I know, but you know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
You know what I mean.
I know what you mean, dude. We got to pull
Um,
that off, though. We got to. I would love to go and see that with you guys. The other thing that we need to do is I need to come to Colorado. If you guys do that, I will come to Colorado for the Pikes Peak Hill Climb.
yeah, which we, funny enough, our parents are moving out of the spring, so we won't have a place to stay down there anymore.
Oh man, where are they going?
Denver coming up
Oh,
here.
sick.
Yeah,
It's next to the baby, huh?
yeah,
Babies.
yeah. Soon to be, soon to be. Um, no, but we've been to the hill climb like fan fest and stuff. I've never been ever like actually up on the mountain and tried to like actually watch it. Obviously WRC isn't as dangerous as it used to be, but
Still dangerous as shit. Way more
still
dangerous than going to an F1 race.
exactly. That's what I was about to say. Like by far the most like dangerous spectator motorsport that you can have. Like people aren't quite as crazy of climbing out on the tracks the way they used to, but it's like there ain't walls, there ain't
No,
guardrails, there's trees.
there's
You better
trees.
you better have a tree close to use as a guardrail if you're
I
in a
know.
spot
My
that can.
brother-in-law, my brother-in-law is. I would love to have him on the pod at some point. He's a car enthusiast, not necessarily a racing enthusiast. Like he loves like tuner setups and Formula Drift and stuff like that. Um, but
Sounds like my
he's
type of
like,
guy. I watch Formula
yeah,
Drift too.
you would love. Also named Nick. So,
No,
um,
he's a good dude
but
then.
we were talking once the official track map is put out, or like the course that they have set up. We're gonna go out there. It's not too far. It's like 50 miles from here. We're gonna go out there and scout where we need to go sit. That's like both a great view of racing, but also like
Safe
not
as
right
possible.
in a corner. Yeah, as safe as possible. Because like I would love to take my family. Like I'd love to take Josie and Violet out there. and see all that. But like, I'm definitely not doing that if it's super, super
Toddlers
dangerous.
can't scatter out of the way of a car.
No, I can throw them up in the air. Like
Yeah.
I can.
Then you're having to take one for the team at that point.
I would wear it for my baby girls, man. But yeah, I'm just over the moon about that. Like, I already have a couple friends that are like, yeah, I'm coming to town for that. Like, we'll be there. It's going to be an event. Like, non hyperbole will be the biggest sporting event in the history of Tennessee. So, just really cool. Like, Tennessee, like, college football is great here. We love our college football. We got some minor league baseball that's dollar beer, dollar dogs that I'd put up against any sporting event in the world. But
Some minor
really
league
cool to be
football
on the
too.
international stage. So what?
Some minor league football too.
Yeah, some minor league football down there in Nashville. They're building their big stadium to host Pee Wee games down there for sure. But yeah, it's gonna be cool to have Tennessee on the international stage, and gonna be really fun, man. I'm really stoked for that.
We'll definitely try and see what we can make happen.
Yeah, I'll see you there.
Well, we're well over time with what we expected with just two of us, but that probably means it was a pretty good conversation.
Yeah, it was a fun pod, Mike. I'm sure you're still listening up to this point, but we
Oh
miss you.
yeah. And if you're not, we're taking it out of your compensation.
Oh, I like that. I like
Mm-hmm.
that. All right, buddy. Well, it was good talking to you, and hey, thanks for listening to another episode of